we can use Karl Popper's idea, can the claims be verified or falsified? And so far in astrology they have not. Okay, so these are certainly reasons to doubt that astrology is scientific, but they don't prove that it's scientific. Other examples are people like James Randi, who's a retired magician, magic tricks, and he's well known for his demonstrations that astrology does not work. One thing that James Randi does is he'll go to a classroom of college students, give them a computerized printout of their interpretation. And then the kids read this, undergraduate students, they read it and go, wow, this is amazing! You described me perfectly! And Randy, who's a magician and has this sort of flair, goes, oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Will you give it to the person in back of you? I accidentally gave you the wrong interpretation. So people tend to agree with a report even though it was produced for someone else. Okay? And this is sometimes called the Forer effect or Barnum effect. There's all kinds of psychological things that go on. And the gentleman there was asking about self-fulfilling prophecy. This is another issue. So there are many things that can make astrology look like it's working when it isn't. Okay? Now you may be saying, why are you telling me this, David? You're an astrologer. Because I just want to get to the truth. I'm not here to defend a point of view. I'm here to lay out what is going on. And so there are problems with astrological research. The Forer effect, or Barnum effect, self-fulfilling prophecies are all part of it. Okay? So, but Randy does not disprove all of astrology. He shows that there are problems with some of the methodologies. And some of the methodologies may be flawed. And there may be big problems with them. Fair enough? I'm not here to please astrologers or please scientists. Astrologers often hate me just as much as the scientists. I'm here to just try to get to the truth. I've been wrestling with this my entire adult life. I don't plan to stop wrestling with it. So I'm just trying to analyze what is going on. All right? Sound pretty reasonable? I'm not asking if you agree. We'll be fighting all night if you want to try to agree. But you following my sequence here? Okay. Another argument against astrology, and sometimes this embarrasses me because I'm very keen about the scientific method. I mean, I'm as conservative as the next guy, believe it or not, even though I'm an astrologer. And it really bugs me when scientists don't hold to the high standards that they should. And one example is, it's often claimed that astrology is wrong because the zodiac signs are wrong. If your sun is in the zodiac sign Taurus, it's probably in the constellation Aries, right? And you'll often hear this as a sort of a proof or a reason why astrology is not valid. Well, you can have a tropical sign Taurus, you can have a constellation Taurus. It doesn't disprove anything. Furthermore, astrologers already know this, so you're not telling them something they don't know. So these may be reasons to doubt astrology, but I don't think they disprove astrology. The problem with astrology is nothing's ever been shown to work from a measurable standpoint. That's the real problem. Okay? Is that everybody pretty cool with this? Is this making sense? Yeah, I'll take another question. Right. The question is, what are we measuring in astrology? Yeah. What we're doing in astrology is basically just correlation. We're saying, this is going on in the sky, and this behavior is going on here, and is there a correlation? There is no model. I mean, every astrologer has a different model. We have no idea why such a correlation would exist if it was found to exist. That also, by the way, is not an argument that astrology does not work. I can know that apples fall to the ground when I drop them without a theory of why it happens. So if a valid correlation is found, then there is scientific support for astrology, even without a theory. You see why I went back to university to major in research methodology? Because I wanted to understand this stuff. And this is what I've learned from my professors here at the great University of Florida. All right? So correlation is adequate as a scientific discovery, even without a theory. The problem with astrology is the correlation hasn't been found, but it's a correlation. But obviously, we don't move the planets. You know, ever since Kepler's 3 laws of planetary motion, you know, the formulas are known. So those move independently of us and somehow supposedly correlate with human behavior. Later on, I'll discuss some specific research and how that is done. I'm going to share some research I've done and what correlations I look at. So it's a correlation, plain and simple, right? This is really simple stuff. Something's going on in the sky, something's going on Earth. Is there a correlation? Astrologers have been thinking this for thousands of years. They dream up new relationships, new ways of talking about what's going on out there, and relating to human behavior, and still nobody's proven that it's true. So, bottom sentence, simple conclusion. Astrology is not a science at this time, because none of its claims have been shown to be valid. Not a hard science. All right. Everybody reasonably okay? You may not like everything I say, but you'll swallow it for now. Let's move on. This is controversial stuff, and I'm trying to just lay out some fundamental things that most of us can agree on. Let's deal with this superstition thing. Is astrology a superstition? Well, to get an idea of this, it helps to look at the history of astrology. Where did it come from? And the history of astrology is really interesting and not what you intuitively might think it is if you haven't studied the history of astronomy and astrology. I know many of you have, because there's a lot of astronomers here. The roots of astrology are very clear. This is from David Pingree and many other leading, Otto Neugebauer, many leading historians of astrology. They all agree about this. Astrology begins in current day Iraq, in the between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. So we can call it Mesopotamia. Later on, it gets to be known as Babylonia. And there's essentially 2 phases to the development of astrology. There's the omen phase, where astrology consists of omens related to the sky. I'll explain this a little more. That's what goes on in Mesopotamia from at least 2000 BC on to at least 500 BC. So for at least 1500 years, there are these omens. I'll talk about 2 of the tablets that are available today. You can read these omens. They're still, some of them are available. And then astrology makes a dramatic and sudden change between 500 and 200 BC. And some people believe it was within 150 years. So you have over 1,000 years of these omens, and then it turns on a dot, on the dime. It changes dramatically. And it changes